Is there anybody who would like to volunteer? Because we're going to be doing group work and I need to pass some materials out and collect some materials and pass some materials out and things like that. If you'd like to volunteer, please raise your hand so I know who to call on for help. Thank you. Thank you. All right, very good. We've got some volunteers. And I still see some people sitting alone. Alone is not good. So don't be shy. Look, we're all English teachers and we have communication abilities, so please cozy up to so that you're in groups of 3. It'll make it a lot easier if we start that way from the very start. Don't be afraid. Those people are friendly, right? We got go to friendly group here because that's what we like. Good. All right. Group of 3. Can you count 1, 2, 3? Are you able to count to 3? If you're able to count to 3, we're really good. All right. Can you count to 3? Count to 3. Oh, look, you see there's a group of 4 over there. You can steal one of them. Invite one of them to join you. That would be a great thing. Don't be afraid to invite. This is a good, conferences are a wonderful time to network. Conferences are a wonderful time for us to meet people in our profession, some of the ones who are more experienced and the ones, the younger ones who are less experienced. We all get together and learn from each other. Don't you think that's a good idea? All right, I'm Marsha Chan. I think you see that on the screen here. I'm from California, USA. I'm here at the invitation of the U.S. Embassy, the Department of State, doing some training here in lovely Bangkok. I will be going on to Malaysia next, but right now we'll be talking about growth mindset. And we're talking about how to shift our mindset in order to boost learning. Boosting learning, what do I mean by that? We're talking about increasing the ability of our students to feel comfortable learning. And we're going to talk about some things that hopefully will be useful to you in your class. So what I like to do is present some ideas. This is a short workshop to give you sort of an introduction to the concept, and then have you do some discussion. So remember I told you something about discussion? Remember how many I said that should be in your group? 3. All right, now I need a volunteer to help me pass out to each group of 3. First of all, you have to identify yourself as a group of 3. And then, when you do so, my volunteer is going to help me. I need 2 volunteers. All right, good. We have one on this side and one on that side. They must identify themselves as a group of 3, and then you can give them 1 packet for the group of 3. 1 packet for each group of 3, please. 1 packet for each group of 3. Now, if they're not a group of 3 yet, then they need to mobilize and get into a group of 3, and that way you'll get a packet. All right, they're coming around. My volunteers are coming around and offering to the groups a group of 3. Okay, now, all right, thank you. We'll put these down over here in case we have some stragglers who come in and form some groups of 3. All right, so you're meeting your friends, good, saying hello, finding their names and a little bit about them, good. All right, so you can put these down here. We'll just leave them here and we'll
look for a while. I keep you back. I already keep.
Oh, yeah, of course. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to invite somebody to join you. Okay, keep your eye on the door and invite them to join you. All right, because groups of 3. What is it? Sure. Go invite him. Either so go cozy up with him, okay? So groups of 3, group work, talk about it. So in your group, I like you to talk about these statements here. So we have a couple of statements here. People can learn new things, but can't really change their basic intelligence. With the right effort and support, the sky is the limit for all our students' potential. Some people have more potential to learn than others. All right, talk about these ideas with your group. Talk with your members about what your opinions are on these sentences. How do you like that for hands, right? Sometimes you need 2 hands and you've got 3 things, or 3 hands and you need more. So this is what I do when I need a hand. I need a hand. You know, someone give me a hand? I got one. All right, so maybe there are no correct answers. It's just a means of getting you to think about some of these statements. And then we'll look at some other ideas too. So let's talk a little bit about learning and intelligence mindsets. This is research done by the professor Carol Dweck at Stanford University. This is where I graduated from, but not in her field. She's been doing a lot of research in the last few decades. Her question was about student attitudes about failure. Because we talk about success a lot, don't we? Da-da-da-da-da success, da-da-da how to succeed. But what about their attitudes about failure? Because failure is the opposite of success, kind of, sort of. But we can do something with failure to make it not so bad, right? So she wanted to know, and she's wanted to know for many times, and many years, and she's been interviewing a great number of learners of all different ages. Why did some students rebound from their failure while others were devastated by even just the little smallest setbacks? And in her research, she discovered that there are 2 types of mindsets. One that she calls the fixed mindset, and the other she calls the growth mindset. So when we talk about the fixed mindset, it's the idea that intelligence is fixed and cannot be changed. Whereas for growth mindset, the idea is that we can develop our abilities and intelligence. So those ideas are opposite. Now I'm going to give you a handout on all this at the end if you should desire to stay. So I have a whole nother packet. That's why I need another volunteer at the very end. But I would like to just present to you, this is a nice graphic, which of course you can't see well, but I just wanted to show you that one of the graphic artists took her work and put it in this way, and you'll be getting more of that later. All right, so what are the characteristics of fixed mindsets and growth mindsets? This is where we're going to do a group activity, and I'll ask you to open your little packet. So you and your group members, remember there should be 3 of you in a group, you should find inside a green sheet, and then you should find inside the little white packet 10 little slips. On each slip is a characteristic. Would you please open that together? And you may use an empty chair or somebody's lap to put down your green sheet. That is your board. All right, your fixed mindset and growth mindset board is the green one. So put that down on a flat surface, which is amongst you, and then take the 10 slips with the characteristics out and discuss what's on each one of them and determine where you think this which is this a characteristic of? Is it more a characteristic of fixed or growth mindsets? Go ahead. Yes, I see some of you making good use of the extra chair. These are movable chairs, so go ahead and use one as a table. Woo! Here's the clapping again. Is that good? Have you, in your group work, have you been able to find 10 slots, 10 spaces in the right places? Probably. Okay, so it gives you an opportunity to think about those qualities. And what we want to see is to think about, well, what has our Professor Dweck said about mindset? So if we look at the two mindsets and we contrast the two mindsets, we can see that the fixed mindset thinks that intelligence is static. You get this intelligence when you're born and you keep that intelligence throughout. And what happens is that leads to a desire to look smart, because you gotta look smart even if you're not smart. So it gives you different kinds of tendencies, whereas growth mindset is a kind of attitude or way of thinking that allows you to change and grow, to think about you're not just the intelligence that you got when you started, but you can actually develop your intelligence. And so this leads to a desire to learn, and therefore some other tendencies which we will look at in the next few slides. So people who have a fixed mindset generally tend to avoid challenges. Are you with me there? Something is kind of hard, let's not do it. You know, if it's hard, let's do something that's easy. They choose the easy path rather than the more difficult one. Whereas people with a growth mindset embrace challenges. All right, this is not the way I wanted it to be or the way I expected it, but never mind, I'm going to charge forward and try to overcome whatever obstructions or difficulties there are in order to get through it and to get over it. Oh, wow, this is fun. This is something I like to do. Like the puzzles that she had children try as she had them, you know, in her experimental studies. Some of the kids wanted to do the same thing. They had the option of doing the same puzzle over and over, whereas they could also choose to do something new. And the kids who were of more of a growth mindset preferred to try something new, even though they weren't going to be as good at it as in the beginning. Whereas the ones who were more fixed figured, well, I got it right last time, let's do it again. What else? So in terms of obstacles, things that get in your way, what happens when you meet an obstacle? You can either give up easily and go like, oh, they said no, well, bye. And then you go home. Or you reach an obstacle, and then what are the other possibilities? Instead, you persist in face of setbacks. Even though there is a roadblock or what appears to be an obstacle in front of you, you find a way to get over it, around it, through it, around, under it, or change it, or make the obstacle disintegrate so that you can reach some objective or goal on the other side of that objective. What about effort, the amount of energy that you put out? Well, for fixed mindset folks, she discovered that people with fixed mindset see effort as fruitless or worse. Why bother? There's no use doing that. I'm not going to do that. Why should I do that? Why bother? It's going to rain anyhow. It's going to be, they're not going to pick me. Why should I bother? It's just not, it's not worth the effort. You know people like that? Maybe sometimes you feel like that, right? Because actually, fixed and growth mindset is not really an either or. It's an easy thing to look at either or, but it's not as if we are all one way or the other. It's just like when we talk about modalities, we say visually, auditorily, but nobody's 100% one way. So when we think about this as being fruitless, then we don't want to try. But people who have a growth mindset will say, wow, okay, so if I put out more effort, I have an opportunity to become a master at something. I gain more mastery the more I exert effort. Right? So think about your learners. Those who get so far Are they just because they're already intelligent, or because they have put out the effort to learn, they've done their practice, and they've found ways to push themselves, to propel themselves in a particular direction? Criticism. Who likes to be criticized? Right? Okay, so typically when we have criticism, a lot of people just have this reaction. I did something wrong. I didn't get it right. I missed the mark. And lots of times it gives a feeling of embarrassment or shame. And when people with a fixed mindset get criticized, they ignore that, even if somebody gives them, well, you didn't do this right this time, but what you can do is such, right? They may get some negative feedback, and instead of doing something with that negative feedback, they just ignore it. If I don't listen to it, if I don't hear it, if I don't feel it, I don't face it, it didn't happen. It's not for me. It doesn't do anything for me. People more with a growth mindset, on the other hand, learn from criticism. Bring it on. Find some mistakes, find some ways that I could do this better. They accept criticism as a way of making progress. All right, so some of you know that I write articles and books. I like it when people read my stuff and they tell me, you know, this is good and this is bad, this is how you can make it better. I know that sometimes it's a difficult thing because you think, oh, you get your paper back with all the red marks on it. And some people react one way. Like, what, have you got students who just throw it in the garbage? Yeah? Does that ever happen to you? Because some of you ask them, what did you do with it? And they said, oh, that? Over there in the trash can. Why? Because they don't want to look at it. They don't feel good about it. But others will look at it and slurp it up and go like, oh, I could say it this way. I could write it that way. I could do this. I could add in, oh, if I change this around and put it this over here and add more this, then it'll be a better piece. So those who have a more of a growth mindset attitude toward learning can take criticism and make it helpful for them. What about other people? And when other people are successful, how does that affect people with a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? Those with a fixed mindset tend to feel threatened by the success of others. Do you know people like that? Oh, so-and-so is so much better than I am at XYZ, whatever it is. And there's this threatening feeling. I don't want to hang out with that person. I don't want to associate with them, because what happens is there's a comparison. I will be seen as lesser than, and it's better if I just go away, because that threat is so strong. That's a threat that makes you fearful. It doesn't bring you any good feeling. Those who are more of the growth mindset, they find that lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So if you find somebody who's stronger than you, better than you at something, then people with a growth mindset have a tendency to go toward them. Ah, I know you're really good at that. I'm going to hang out with you, right? I know you are really strong in something. You can teach me. You can be my mentor. I can learn from you. There are many things that I like to do. Some of them I do well, some I don't do so well, but you do them better. I'm going to use you as my model, right? So that's a way that people with a growth mindset feel. They feel like they can learn from the success of others. They aren't frightened by it. They aren't threatened by it. And so you think about that in our lives as adults, as professionals, but you also want to think about it as your students. How are your students in your classes? You know, they're students of different grades. Now in some countries, I'm not sure here, where they write on the board and everybody can see who's number 1, number 2, number 3. Does that happen in this country? Well, in some places, it doesn't happen in the U.S. I mean, that's very, like we're not going to do, but I know that in places that I taught before, like in China, they would always run to the board and they would see, I did number one again, and that all the numbers would be like so. So this is a kind of way to publicize who's better and who's worse. And for people who are on the bottom end, how do you think they feel? Not so good, really, right? There's always this comparison. But if you are more of a growth mindset if you have that kind of an attitude, you might be able to be motivated towards moving forward and getting higher. So let's look at some results of her research in terms of outlining the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So people with a fixed mindset, she found, tend to plateau early. They get to their highest point early and achieve less than their full potential. So they may have a potential that is this great, but they only get to here and they get stunted. They stop. They stop learning, they stop trying, and they stop succeeding, they stop improving. And all this confirms their deterministic view of the world. You've heard some people say, well, that's the deck of cards. I got dealt this deck and this is what I've got. This is my destiny. This is what I got. Either it could be genetic, from your parents, or from your school, or from your lifestyle, or your experiences, and this is sort of like that's determined already in advance, and so there's not a lot to do to change it. Whereas people of the growth mindset reach ever higher levels of achievement because they keep on going. They keep on trying. They accept new challenges. They look at the success of others as a way to grow and get new ideas. They go around different kinds of obstacles that may be in their way. And all of this gives them a greater sense of free will rather than determined, something predetermined. They have free will to move along and make their own path, go in their direction with all the means that they have using their effort. So we can see from this diagram here that fixed growth mindset people, there are different thoughts in the mind. So fixed mindset people ignore feedback. They say, well, don't try. It's not going to try. They give up easily, avoid challenges, and they think that mistakes are bad. Everybody makes mistakes, right? Do you make mistakes? Anybody here make mistakes? Yeah? Okay. So if you always think that mistakes are bad, then it can be, it's the focus on the negative as opposed to the positive. So people with a growth mindset, of course, they make mistakes as well. They learn, they put effort out, and they learn from feedback. They're not afraid of mistakes. They try to turn mistakes into a learning opportunity. So when we're in our classrooms and we're thinking about all of our students out there and all the things that they bring they bring many, many issues to the classroom. Not only what your subject is, they have their family life, they have their environment, they just, a lot of different things. And that will help color their feelings about learning. So you, as a teacher, can have some impact on them, can't you? In the way that you set up your class in a warm, inviting kind of environment, and you can actually teach them about these different types of mindsets. They are not likely to know that, but you can teach them. There are these different kinds of mindsets, and they can grow their mindset. They can change their negativity into something more positive. So what are some of the ways? Well, we can help them by saying, well, instead of this, do that. All right, so instead of thinking da-da-da-da, or doing such and such, or saying such and such, try to do this. Think this, or say that, or do it this way. So we can give them some clues. For example, the student says, I'm not smart, I can't do this. Do you ever have students who say that? You always do? When you have students who say that, maybe you can say, well, I can't do this yet. What does yet mean? Yet means I can't do it now, but there's a possibility in the future, right? I can't do this yet, but I'm still trying. What if you hear somebody say, I made a mistake? Does that happen? You sometimes say that too, right? But sometimes you hear your students say it and they feel really bad. Instead of just saying, I made a mistake, it could be, okay, I can learn from my mistake. What if somebody says, I can't make this better? You know, I'm not good at so-and-so. I can't make this better. Well, I can always improve. I can always improve. Giving some space for future action. I give up. Do you have students who say that? Give up? Either they say it in their own language, they say it in English, or they give you the body language, right? I give up. Not doing this anymore. Maybe you can help them by having them think and say, I'll try some strategies I've learned. What is the teacher just trying to teach us? Some new strategies for learning vocabulary or for speaking correctly or any of those things that you're doing in your ELT classrooms. I've learned some strategies and I'll try them out. I can't do this. I'll try my best. It might not be perfect, but I'll try my best. I messed up again. This is somebody who makes more than one mistake. Does that ever happen to you? Your students? I messed up again. Well, again, think about mistakes. Mistakes help me learn. Mistakes help me learn. You're going to get all of this on a handout, all right? If you stay, I will give you the handout. It'll be color and it'll be all pretty, and so you can, but you can still take photos if you like. It doesn't matter. I just want to let you know that. In some of the places, yeah, whatever. Okay, so you ever have students say, this is impossible. She just gave us something to do and it's impossible. There's no way we can do this in this amount of time or that we can do it at all. Instead, we can think of, I accept the challenge. So it is difficult, but think of it as a challenge that you can accept, you can embrace, and you can try to manage it. This is too hard. Do you have students who say that? Teacher, this is too hard. Yeah, I guess some of you don't give hard things. No, they do say that, right? A lot of times my students will say, this is too hard. But we have to think of, it's going to take some time and effort. And then it won't be so hard. It'll take some time and effort. So allowing, you're not saying it's not hard, but you're allowing for some time and effort to give it a go, to give it a try. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. You have more students who do that? You say something along those lines? Well, I don't know how to do that yet, but I'll keep trying, right? I don't know how to do it yet, but I'll keep trying, and as I learn, I'll get better at it. How come my friends can do it? This is somebody who always or often compares him or herself to the friends, to the classmates. You have students who do that? They're always looking, how did so-and-so do? How did so-and-so do? Right? And making that kind of comparison doesn't give them a good feeling. Well, I don't know how to do it yet, but I'll keep trying, and maybe we'll look at them and say, you know what? They've inspired me, right? If somebody has done something well, like somebody just gave what you would consider the model presentation, and then you're up, and then the next student tries. They think, well, maybe I didn't do as well as that person there, but this person, this classmate has inspired me, and I can use that to learn from. I can learn from that person. What are the things that they did well, and what is it that I can put into my next try at this? Now, what do learners say about their problems learning English? So this is the next part of our group work. In your packet, you also have a white sheet. Would you take the white sheet out, please? Pull the white sheet out of your plastic packet. And with your group, I'd like you to discuss and write some fears, frustrations, or other negatives that you hear from your students. They can be expressed in English or in the language of the students or in their body language, things that you think they might be thinking even if they don't say it. Think of the things that happen in your own classroom. What do students say, do to show you those negatives? And then on the right side, with your group mates, try to brainstorm some positive revisions that are more from a growth mindset. All right, it's your turn to work with your partners. Be sure to write something down. I will collect these sheets. Write it down, write it down. I will collect these in order for you to get your handout. Write it down. Write it down. If you want my handout, you have to write it down and we'll exchange your sheet for mine. Be sure you write it down. If you want my handout, you have to write something down and I will give you my handout. While you are discussing, I'd like to see if it's possible for you to put the green sheet and the 10 slips back together. And having somebody come around, our room monitor is going to collect your green packet. You keep on writing on the white one, but please hand in the, you have to hand in the green one now, but keep on writing on the white, writing. If you don't write, you won't get my handout to keep. But if you do write something, I can exchange it for my handout. But the green one and the 10 slips, I will need that back in the plastic. So I will collect this one. Keep on writing on the white sheet. Keep on writing on the white sheet. How about your white sheet? Oh, good, excellent. Okay, I'll take the green one when you're finished with that. Pass me your green one when you're done. Okay, good. Oh, I'm going to keep the white separately so I can read them more easily. That's good. Thank you. Just take it out. Yeah, I'm going to separate them so they'll be in a different pile. Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay. Are you done? Okay, keep working on it then. All right. Some of you are writing some really cool stuff. I like that. Thank you. All right, now I'm collecting all the green sheets. These are your fixed versus growth mindset boards. So I'm collecting those, and now we'll be looking at the white ones. All right, if you've got some white sheets that you can give to me. Yes? Have you got anything for me? Oh, you're almost, okay. You're almost there. Almost there. Almost there? You got something to share? Yeah. All right, let me take those that you are ready from. We'll talk later, okay? Are you ready to share? You're ready to share your sheets? I'm going to collect these. Well, I'll take what you've got, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, you have to be able to have me get something on there. You're almost ready? All right? And once you do, then you're going to get the handout that I have for you. Nice, colorful handout. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Everybody's got a great group. It looks like you have good participation with your group mates. You ready? Thank you. All right. You ready to hand that in? May I? Okay, thank you so much. And this one up. Great, thank you. This way, yeah. Okay. So I'm collecting now all the green sheets and the white sheets. Who's got a white sheet for me? Thank you so much. We have a white sheet over here. Did we get yours? We got everybody's over here? Okay, fantastic. Okay, good. Anybody else have something to share? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so as the green sheets are coming in, anybody have the group work? Group work? All right, good. Now, you can pass this out one to each person, okay? All right, let me just share with you a few of your wonderful input from your group work. Instead of saying, I will fail again, say, failure is the mother of success. You can learn a lot from your failure. All right, this is a good idea, but I would like you to think about it. Some of you, now it's time for you to listen to me. I know, it's really hard. You like talking. I like talking too. Now, I want you to redo this. Instead of saying, I will fail again. All right, this is what a student might say out loud or in the head. Tell yourself, failure is the mother of success. You can learn a lot from your failure. How should we revise the second part? Instead of saying that, say, failure is the mother of success. I, the one who has the thoughts of failure, I can learn a lot from my failure. Personalize it. Don't tell the student you. Try to say, here, try on this sentence where you can say, I can learn from my failure. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a difference between person A telling person be what to do with telling a person how you can envision embodying and changing and feeling this sentence yourself with that thought. I can learn from my failure. So some of you may have done it in that way, and you can revise it. You can make it better. I hope the criticism is not making you feel bad. All right, we do have a few ideas that I would like to just share what sometimes students say. I already know this. Did anybody say that? How can I expand what I know? Right? Or I can help a friend with what I know. What you know will be even better when you share it with someone else. Do you ever have students say, this is stupid? This is dumb. Do you ever have students who say something along those lines? This will help me learn. This will help me become smart. It doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. Why do it? It doesn't matter. This can help me later. Maybe it doesn't matter at this time, but it can be something I'll learn and help me later. Why are we doing this? I have a dream and this helps me get there. The teacher doesn't like me. Do you ever have students who say that or think that? Yeah, these are real students. The teacher doesn't like me, so I can't get better at it. I'll show the teacher how hard I can try. I can't say it right. I can't say it right yet. I'll keep trying. I can say it in my language, but not in English. I'll practice until I can, and I'll ask for help from my teacher. I can't write. I can't write yet. I can follow a model. I don't know what to write about. I can write about what I know. I can tell a story. I don't know what to talk about. I can use my imagination. I can talk about my experiences. Those are all on your handout, by the way. So the neuroplasticity study, which I'm not going to go into here, tells us that learning causes new brain connections, right? So you have a way to create new neural pathways. And the more we learn, the more new neural pathways we create. The more we utilize those pathways, the stronger and faster they become. Some of you may be familiar with, say, learning one sport and then another sport, and the third sport is easier to get. Maybe some of you have the experience learning a second language and a third language, and by the time you learn the fourth language, you really have a lot of strategies. You can learn things a lot faster. Those neural networks are stronger and faster. There's also a lot online that I'd like to just point you to. Take the mindset assessment to learn more about your mindset. That's on your handout, so you can tape that into your browser. Looks something like this: teacher practices, how praise and feedback impact student outcomes. This is a resource that I'd like to point you to if you'd like to help your students out in terms of how the kinds of feedback you give them can give them a sense of empowerment rather than a sense of failure, a sense of success. Dweck said, mindsets change the meaning of effort. Mindsets are an important part of your personality, but you can change them just by knowing about the two mindsets. You can start thinking and reacting in new ways. Thank you very much for your participation. I'm afraid I must have taken a little more time, and you must be hungry for your lunch now.